Hey, what is up, my people? Pastor Bill here. What do you do when you feel like you've done the right thing, but still everything fell apart? Maybe you made a choice with good intentions. Maybe you had a vision, a real passion, and still, somehow, it all blew up. Well, if that's you, I want you to meet someone today. His name is Moses. Yeah, that Moses. Now, Moses grew up in the palace of Pharaoh, the king, Egyptian royalty, trained, educated, powerful. But Moses had a secret. He wasn't Egyptian. In fact, he was actually Hebrew, one of the very people being worked to death as slaves just outside the palace walls. One day, something in him snapped. He saw an Egyptian slave driver brutalizing one of his people. He looked around, thought no one was watching, and he killed the man, buried him in the sand. But someone was watching. Word spread. Pharaoh found out, and Moses, this man who had everything, suddenly had nothing. He was a fugitive, running for his life across 200 miles of wilderness to a place called Midian. Now, here's what I don't want you to miss, because this is so relevant to your life right now. Moses had a genuine passion for his people. I believe God placed that vision in his heart. The desire was right. The cause was just, but Moses ran ahead of God. He tried to accomplish a God-sized purpose through his own strength, his own timing, and it cost him everything. See, here's the principle. You can do the right thing in the wrong way. And maybe you've been there. You felt God stirring something in you, a dream, a calling, like a direction. But instead of waiting, you forced it. You took matters into your own hands, and now you're sitting in your own version of the wilderness wondering what just happened. Well, here's the hope in this story. God wasn't done with Moses, not even close. In fact, God would accomplish something far greater through Moses than Moses could ever have done on his own. He just needed Moses to stop running on his own fuel. See, God's timing is almost never our timing, but his timing is always better. So Moses arrives in Midian. He's exhausted, broke, no plan, sits down by a well, and this is where I love God's sense of humor. 7 daughters of a local priest show up to water their father's flocks, but a group of local shepherds roll in and try to run them off, bullying these women away from their own well. Well, Moses sees this, and something rises up in him again, right? That same fire. But this time, he uses it right. He stands up, defends the women, drives off the shepherds, and then, above and beyond, he draws water for their flocks himself. Later, the ladies went home, told their father, Reuel, all about what had happened that day, and he basically said, "Where is he? You left him there at the well? Go get him. Bring him back now." Well, Moses is welcomed in. He shares a meal and eventually becomes part of the family. He marries Reuel's daughter Zipporah, and they have a son together. Moses names the boy Gershom, which in Hebrew means stranger in a strange land, because that's exactly how he feels. He's not Egyptian. He's not Midianite. He's a man without a home, waiting on a promise he can't yet see. He feels outcast. So while Moses is in the wilderness, back in Egypt, God's people are still suffering. Years pass, the king dies, but the slavery doesn't stop. The suffering doesn't stop. And the Bible says that the Israelites cried out, they groaned, they wept, they prayed with everything they had. Ever prayed like that? Not a polished, quiet, bedtime prayer, but a desperate cry, like you've got nothing left and God is the only option. That's exactly where these people were. Here's how Exodus describes it. It says, God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He looked down on the people of Israel and knew it was time to act. Here's what God did in this passage. He says this. First of all, God heard. He heard every prayer, every groan, every tear-soaked whisper in the dark. If you've ever wondered, does God actually hear me? I can tell you the answer is yes. Absolutely yes. Here's the second word. God remembered. Yeah, he remembered. He remembered his promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He hadn't forgotten a single one. And you know something? He hasn't forgotten you either. What he promised you, he'll do. Thirdly, it says this, that God saw. Now, the Hebrew word here is deeper than just a glance. It means that he understood. He felt the weight of what they were experiencing. God doesn't just look at your pain from a distance. See, God, he knows. He understands what you're experiencing. He knows what it costs. And then the fourth word he uses here in Exodus is knew. God knew. God had a plan. He had a time frame. And here's what it says. He knew it was time to act. See, the rescue was already in motion. They just couldn't see it yet. Now jump forward a few thousand years. Jesus is talking to a crowd, and he says something that I think reframes this entire story. He says this, everyone who sins is a slave to sin. But if the Son sets you free, you are truly free. The cry for freedom is ancient. It's in every human heart. And God has always been in the business of setting captives free. Not just from physical chains, but from the deepest slavery of all. And that is slavery to sin and death. See, the Israelites needed Moses to lead them out of Egypt. You and I, we need Jesus because he's the one who leads us out of something far worse. So maybe today, you're in a wilderness season. Maybe you've run ahead of God and things fell apart. Maybe you've been crying out to God what feels like forever and wonder if he even hears. I can tell you this, he does. He heard, he remembers, he sees, he knows. And you know something? He loves to answer the passionate, persistent prayers of his people. Hey, listen, thank you for watching. And if this encouraged you, hit that like button, subscribe for more content like this, and drop a comment below. I want to hear your story. Because here's the good news. Your Gershom season, right, that feeling like an outcast season, that won't last forever. God is already at work. We'll see you next time. And why not join us at Centerpoint for worship and encouragement this weekend? It all starts this Sunday at 10 a.m. You can join us on site at our campus in beautiful South Tacoma, or if you're out of town, join us online at our Centerpoint Facebook page. Either way, it'll be a great time together. See you then.